Alright, I've got some time to kill, so that means we can cast a game. And this time we're on Westfold, and let's see who plays here. It's Andy for Mordor, on the left-hand side of the map, and he's going for 2 slave farms. We'll see what he goes for next. And on the right-hand side, we've got W, and he's going for 2 orchards, pretty standard stuff for both players. Nobody does fast racks if you're American. But yeah, so third orchard, fourth orchard. Okay, so I would say in this matchup, this is not a bad build. I'm assuming he's gonna go for like a Breland encampment into Dunedain encampment after the 4 orchards, and Andy goes for his first Orcish stronghold, so probably will opt for the spam, I would assume. And this is a very interesting matchup. And besides that, I was also told that this is quite a good game. So let's see what happens here. 2 Orcish strongholds. It's probably gonna put down the 3rd as well. And this builder is waiting to put down the 4th slave farm. Over here we see Breland encampment as well as... Oh, no, actually he went for 2 Breland encampments. Okay, that's also a valid choice, I would say, if you're up against Mordor, because Bounders and especially Turkish archers are quite good in dealing with spam units. And obviously Mordor orcs cost just 70, so that's like the definition of a spam unit. So let's see. So he indeed puts down the 3rd Orcish stronghold. And yeah, so we see Bounders over here as well as Turkish archers. All right, so looks decent so far. Over here we've got the production rolling, just basic orc spam, what usually does these days. But yeah, so just to talk about the matchup a bit, I feel like this is a fair matchup in the sense that it can go either way, which is a rarity these days. I think those of you who are actively playing 8.2, the patch 8.2, will have noticed that Mordor has been quite dominant on the patch, and not a lot of factions fare well against it. But I feel like Rivendell is one of those factions that can actually fare well, just due to or rather thanks to the unit compositions that it can put out starting from early game, basically. As well as I would specifically highlight the role of Grey Company in this matchup. And not only in this matchup, I would say that Grey Company is in general a very, very central, a key unit for Rivendell in essentially all matchups. But yeah, we'll see if W opts to go for them. I think that would be a good decision. So W is playing this defensively. I would say that's a good call. Turkish archers will deal good damage to these guys. As you can see, they... Well, actually, I want to say 2-shot, but no, they 3-shot them if these guys are on defensive, and Turkish archers obviously on offensive, because you need to put your archer units always on aggressive stance. Well, unless they're getting trampled or absorbing damage in any shape. But yeah, so Andy continues with the spam. He has captured the signal fire over here. Let's see if he decides to tech up. I kind of doubt it because this is Andy and is pretty famous or infamous, whatever, however you, approach it, for not teching up, for staying on basic units for quite a long time, which is actually what I do in a lot of cases as well. But I would say that if that tends to be a valid strategy in 202, I would say that in Age of the Ring, you definitely want to learn the timings for transitions. I mean, you want to do it in 202 as well. I'm just saying that you can afford staying on tier 1 units, usually, like, on average, a bit longer than in Age of the Ring. And in Age of the Ring, since it's such a unique mod, I mean, in terms of the civs, or rather the factions, not the civs, are so unique, then you really want to, and the first XD over here, W loses his first builder, you really want to learn and think clearly about your faction's transition periods, as well as the unit composition that you want to put on the field in certain matchups and in certain situations against certain units. So we see action all over the map, which is great to see. Andy is attacking on basically three sides, and W is trying to counter harass a bit, not very successful with it, but still that's still useful for him because it grabs the attention of the orcs, which kind of like prevents them from attacking your base. So that's kind of like another way to defend is to attack. Obviously, I'm saying like very obvious things right now, but especially against Mordor, that can be useful. Orc archers are quite good at defending, but if you force Mordor to build orc archers, and especially if you force Mordor to build orc pikemen, then I would say that that's a very big win for you because they feed a lot more. They're not as durable. You can shoot them down with archers, but right now we see the problem that a lot of players deal with when playing against Mordor, and that's the Nazgul. And if the opponent controls the Nazgul carefully, he can wreak havoc. He can deal so much damage. And the Nazgul levels up quite quickly. I think that was changed in one of the recent patches. Well, not the recent ones, but I mean that was changed relatively recently. And as you can see, after trampling like a few battalions as well as killing a few Dunedain Outriders, it's already level 3 and has access to Screech. Yeah, this is when usually players fall apart when playing against Mordor, when you've got this orc clump running towards your base and you've got the Nazgul to deal with the archers, because obviously this is countered pretty well by archers. But the Nazgul deals with the archers, so you need to build pikes. So you're in kind of a pretty precarious position over there, because your pikes don't really do much on the field, and they're basically their only function at this point is just to protect your archers. So that's not a very effective composition to have if you think about it. But you can't really afford doing anything else because of this, because the Nazgul will just shred your archers to pieces. And over here, Andy is using aggressive stance with the Nazgul, and this is actually dismounting him, which is a smart choice over here because there are many Brilliant Townsguard in this side of the map, and if you accidentally run into them, that's going to be quite devastating for Mordor's progression. So as much as the Nazgul can be quite a dominant play in the early game or the early to mid game transition, losing the Nazgul can be quite just as devastating for Mordor. But now Andy has the second Nazgul on the field, which means their stats get buffed. I think for each Nazgul it's 10% armor damage, as well as if you have the Spire of, I want to say Spire of Sorcery, but that's not the upgrade. Basically, the last upgrade on Mordor's Fortress, I forgot the name, that also grants all of your Nazgul on the field 20 armor and damage, if I remember well. But yeah, so we can see that W is struggling a bit over here, and Andy has captured the entire map essentially. Well, at least the bottom side of the map, and the top side isn't really seeing much action so far. And Andy has gone for Orc Horn, which is a very unorthodox choice. I think the meta, I mean, I don't think it's just objectively true that the meta on the patch is going for Trackers of Kirith Ungol into the Haradrim Lancer summon, which then leads to Shelob, which is a good hero killer. So yeah, it's quite effective. It's a quite effective Mordor build. But Andy has gone for something else, Orc Horn, and he is taking his time to decide what to go for as tier 2. So on the other hand, we've got Rivendell with a decent economy, I would say, 675 at this point, and he's even got a Rivendell Forge level 2 over here. I feel like he's defended quite well so far, and especially thanks to the Dunedain Outriders, 3 battalions of them. I completely approve of this, because against Mordor, you really want to force out as many pikes, especially, like if Mordor is attacking you, you want to force out as many pikes as possible to then shoot them down with your archers and protect your archers with pikes against the Nazgul. Because these pikes aren't really durable, and they feed quite a lot of power points, and it just really kind of decreases the effectiveness of Mordor Harass quite a lot. So yeah, we've got one of these Dunedain battalions switched to pikes. I'm assuming that was to protect them from the Nazgul, and W is miscontrolling pretty badly over here. Is going to lose this Dunish Outrider battalion, and is continuing to miscontrol, but finally notices his mistake and pulls them back. Over here, Turkish archers, you see just how much damage Turkish archers deal with this place. Obviously, archers deal even more damage to pikemen than to swordsmen, and we can see that in terms of power points. Okay, so first things first, I'm a bit slow with this cast. Talking about more theoretical things than the stuff that's actually happening on the map. So W has summoned many meetings and took down 2 of the starting farms that Andy has. So that's a big, big win for him. Big W, the obvious pun. But yeah, so he's gone for Tangalo Hide, Tolodan Dangalad, as well as many meetings. So that's 510, 2027 power points. And in comparison, Mordor has 518, so 23 power points. So, not too different. I think it could have been worse in a way. And he's gone for a well finally to get the replenishment as well as heal on the Dunedain Outriders. And as I already said, these are key units to handle Mordor pressure. And so Andy interestingly chooses to go for Mouth of Sauron here as well. That's interesting. Usually you don't see this hero too often in these days. Usually players go for 2 Nazguls straight into Witch King. But yeah, so 3 mounted heroes on the field right now. That's going to be really tough for W to deal with because he doesn't really have much to counter them. I mean, these heroes will just eat the Dunedain Outriders for breakfast. So on the mobility front, I would say that Mordor definitely has the advantage now. And yeah, so like you see what the Dunedain Outriders are doing here, right? Like they're giving Rivendell so much breathing room, so many power points, and just yeah, forcing a lot of pikes, and Andy kind of stopped building pikes over here for a moment, and all of that clump of orcs got completely destroyed, trampled. But Andy is opting to go with the troll support over here. Great decision, I would say, especially against such a cav heavy build, because obviously trolls counter cav really effectively. But Andy is at 1,000 command points, and if we look at the map, he's got lots and lots of farms on the field. He's building in forward positions. But interesting. So W decides to divert from his spellbook path. I feel like this is a great decision over here because he really needs to clear this area of the map. So Andy is harassing with his mounted heroes over here. The Dunedain Outriders are trying to clear out these farms, and we have a big engagement over here. But obviously the Rivendell troops under the 50 armor and damage buff from Remnant of the Old Kingdom are going to clear this up fairly easily, and is also going to neutralize the barricade that Andy put here. So I feel like that's definitely a good choice to go for your tier 2 over here. Those things are very situational. Like it's hard to say, or rather I would say it's impossible to say if diverting from your spellbook tree path is a good thing or not. It's entirely situational. So in this particular situation, I would say that this was the correct thing to do, to kind of like clear up this area of the map and not to force to play entirely defensively. But yeah, so these trolls are obviously going to be very effective. But we've got Halbrand on the field, and Halbrand can counter them pretty well. Oh, just one shot. Yeah, W wasn't really attentive there. But yeah, so we've got 3 mounted heroes, trolls, and that is just so hard to deal with in terms of like defending your base. And as you can see, Rivendell is losing his economy. I mean, his been like significantly successful, I would say, in defending it. But obviously Mordor has a lot more on the field. But a few moments ago, Mordor's CP was at 1,000. I mean max CP, and now it's at 925. So that was thanks to all of these forward farms. But now that W is cleaning them up more effectively, Mordor is kind of dropping a little on the CP front. And now Rivendell has 3 of its heroes out. We've got Aragorn, or Strider rather. In this case, we've got Gildor. that's a great option too. I'll tell you why in a second. And we've also got Halbra. So why is Gildor a good option? Because Rivendell likes to play with a Breland encampment unit heavy build in this matchup to kind of match the spam that Mordor puts on the field. So and Gildor gives them leadership, and also Gildor has a pike summon, which can come in really handy against all of these mounted heroes as well as troll action. But yeah, as we can see, Rivendell is being quite successful in fighting off Mordor on all flanks at this moment. The Outriders are harassing Mordor's economy. Obviously, they cannot deal with 3 mounted heroes, so that they need to run away from here. And Mordor is pushing from the center, but Rivendell has sufficient amount of troops over here, a good mix of Dunedain as well as Breland units the Dunedain are obviously supported by Halbrand as well as Strider, and the Breland units are supported by Gildor, and the remnant of the old kingdom buff, terrain buff is still active over here. So these guys are gonna hit really, really hard with like double leadership action. These guys as well. So yeah, let's see what Andy opts to go for in this situation. So he's upgrading his Easterling garrison to level 3. So I'm assuming that's gonna be either Rune Archers or maybe we will actually see Golden Axemen. I love these units. I think they're so underappreciated but so powerful at the same time. Yeah, so these Outrider battalions have given W so much value in this game. And yeah, I feel like this is roughly the point when you'd want to get your library up as Rivendell because you've got sufficient economy. You've got a lot of money in the bank, and he just purchased a lot of things over there. We'll see what exactly. And for Andy, I think it should be a priority to get this forged down, because if W can manage to upgrade, get to a phase in the game where when he has access to Noldor units, Noldor infantry with upgrades, that's gonna be really really tough for Mordor to deal with. But yeah, so W purchases another tier 2, and it's the Sons of Elrond. Normally, I would say that going for 3 tier 2s can be overkill, but I don't even hate this purchase in this situation too much. I feel like this is a good decision because the Sons of Elrond, and he immediately purchases Eladan, and I'm assuming he's gonna go for both at the same time. These guys have additional damage to orcs, so that's like a direct counter to this playstyle of Andy of basic orc spam. And yeah, as we can see, action all over the map. This is absolutely great. This has been a super good game in that sense. We see action literally on all 3 flanks at all times. And that takes a lot of control from both players, a lot of, stamina as well, a lot of all of those, things, and most importantly, skill, obviously. And so both players are displaying some really, really good plays in this game. So let's see. So he's actually going for Varyags of Khand, or rather Khand, I should say, in this situation, which is interesting because if you have your Easterling encampments already upgraded, I would assume he would have gone for the Easterling Archers, or at least the Pikemen, because at this stage of the game, the Varyags aren't really going to provide you with any value. They're mostly for harassment. They have this buff that gives them, I think, 15 or 10%, or 33% speed as well as 10% armor against archers. So that's clearly intended to be a harassment unit. With a kind of like a self buff against arrows. Okay, so Rivendell was at 3,700, and he just purchased Elrond. The only unit that costs that much is Elrond, so I'm pretty sure that's what we're gonna see on the field soon. And Andy has gone for attack trolls. Good decision as well, I would say. I would say that's a good decision, generally speaking. Although on the other hand, Rivendell has like has Dunedains as well as Breland. Pikes, but trolls supported with, orc spam can be so devastating. But yeah, so Andy's miscontrolling a bit over here. This drummer troll is gonna die, and Rivendell has gotten his tier 3. So he's got 2 tier 1s, 3 tier 2s, as well as a tier 3. And that is all the spam that Andy fed to him, essentially. So in terms of economy, okay, so he's finally built the Elrond's library. I feel like that was a little too late, but it kind of works, I guess, since he's able to keep his economy afloat from this relentless assault that Andy is putting over here. And we see the summon of Gil-galad from the Hall of Fire, really good pick against, basic units, deals kind of splash damage. And these orcs are obviously not going to withstand that in any way whatsoever. Okay, so let's see what Andy is doing. So he has Barricade back, as well as Terror of Kir Thingol, which is the Shelob summon that I was talking about earlier. And he has had this for a while, I think, but he's not using it, which is a weird decision because Rivendell has a bunch of heroes on the field. He's got 3 just in this part of the map, as well as 3 over here, probably. And this is another thing. Yeah, this is the 3rd one on this side of the map. So this is another thing I would say that W is doing really well right now. He's splitting his hero squad, essentially. And obviously, Rivendell is a faction that relies on its hero squad quite heavily in all stages of the game. But so he has 3 heroes over here on the southern flank, as well as 3 heroes over here on the northern flank. So that's going to be really, really tough to deal with for Andy, but he has the Shelob summon. Shelob summon. So let's see how he uses it. This attack troll is going to probably take down this builder. But so 4th. Okay, so he's got Witch King here, I'm assuming. Yeah, exactly. So he's got 4 mounted heroes. He's got all 3 Nazgul on the field. So these guys buff each other, and his, Witch King is obviously super, super powerful. But let's see. So W is trying to defend on this northern flank, push from the southern flank, as well as kind of hold the ground in the center. He's spamming a lot of Breland Townsguard, just because, like, 4 mounted heroes, yeah, that's tough. That's really, really hard to deal with. And Andy has access to Eye of Sauron because he hasn't diverted from his spellbook acquisition path. And I feel like he's going to drop probably in this area if he notices that there are 3 very valuable heroes over here. The most valuable ones, in fact. Elrond as well as Strider. But we'll see. So, Andy drops the barricade over here. The barricade, by the way, gives 25% armor as well. A lot of people don't know this, but yeah, it boosts your troops by armor. Yeah, really good usage of the Hall of Fire once again. Is going to deal with this clump with absolutely no problem. Is defending really effectively over here. Let's see what happens over here. So W puts down the Remnant of the Old Kingdom. He's got a lot of heroes over here and buffs. But Andy uses Andy gives uses 2 of his really powerful abilities over here, tier 3 as well as tier 4. I don't think any of these heroes are going to make it out. Strider is trying to run for his life. Elrond is probably already dead over here if Andy used his Stinger ability. He hasn't used the Stinger, actually. Oh, Elrond is actually running back too. Interesting. So he's trying to finish off Strider first. Strider uses his heal. Does Rivendell has the spellbook heal as well? He does, and he uses his heal on Strider, and Elrond is trying to run for his life, and W could reposition his pikes for Elrond to get away, but he kind of forgets to do that or does it too late, and Elrond goes down over there. That's a big loss for W over there. But look at this. So he's going for double Rivendell dormitory, building them at the same time. I wonder if we're gonna secure down over there. To support this, because he's built it in a way kind of like as if he's trying to use like the cure down buff. All right, had to answer a phone call, quick break over there, but yeah, we continue. And so yeah, Andy got Rivendell's most important heroes over there, Strider and Elrond, but he used a tier 3 as well as a tier 4 to achieve that. And now Rivendell is going to have access to their own tier 4 in about 4 power points. And let's see. So see how that ends. So Witch King over here, already level 4, and Andy is using all of these heroes mounted, doesn't really care about the pikes. Which is fair. I think if these guys, if the Nazguls run into Breland Pikes under defensive stance right now, they definitely won't die because, as I said, they have the stats buffs um, being granted to each other. And the twins are doing some major work over here. They have leadership for all the units that Rivendell has. Elvish, Breland, Dunedain, one of them gives 25 damage, the other 25 armor, I believe. And yeah, so Andy is continuing with his strat of Olog highs, is trying to spam them quite a lot. But right now, Rivendell has access to Wrath of the Bruinen. And let's see. Oh, okay, so he uses it over here. And I guess that's a decent usage. He's got two Orcish Strongholds, so the spam is going to stop for a while. He also managed to get the Easterling Encampment as well as like have this level 3 Orchard, not Orchard, Slave Farm, low health. And he does get another level 3 over here. And Gilder is about to die. So much is happening on the field. I really am not able to keep up with everything. So the Cav dies over here to Ologhai. Bit of miscontrol here. But the first battalion of Noldor is out on the field. And is he getting more? Not yet. Does he have the upgrades? He is indeed upgrading Noldorian armor. And this is going to be quite powerful. This is like once Rivendell hits this stage of the game, you're in big trouble. Although Andy still has all of his most important heroes as well. He's got the Mouth of Sauron as well as Witch King. Mouth of Sauron is level 9, so Witch King can use his abilities. In fact, not only Witch King, all Mordor heroes can use their abilities once, and then it can be annulled or recharged, however you want to call it, by Mouth of Sauron's Lieutenant of Barad-dûr ability. But yeah, so in terms of CP, let's see what's happening. So Rivendell is 750, doesn't really have that many troops on the field, but the troops he has, but he does have the heroes on the field, quite importantly. And he's controlling in so many places. Both players are controlling in like 5-6 different places at the same time. That is the type of gameplay we like to see. This has been a fantastic game in that sense so far. Andy has put a barricade here and is controlling, is controlling the inn in Rivendell's side of the map. And Rivendell has the first battalion of Rockentari on the field. But he isn't using the X-Men, Isengard, Uruk X-Men summon over here. And I think I heard Eladan kind of low over here. Not really. Okay, so we've got Witch King over here once again. Level 5. He's running around with the mounted heroes, but Rivendell has these little squads of a couple of battalions of infantry supported by heroes running around all of the map. Olog is trying to deal with them over here. The Rockentari is diverting just one battalion of Rockentari is kind of like diverting the attention of Witch King over here, which is a great thing to do. Yeah, let's see what. Okay, so W is finally adding more Noldor elves to his composition. He needs to deal with this troll, level 5 troll, in fact, because he does not want to use this Hall of Fire. 2 trolls over here can easily destroy the Hall of Fire, so he needs to immediately deal with that because the Hall of Fire is kind of central to deal with the spam. And Andy is like late game right now. Both players have used their tier 4s, but Andy is still playing, spamming these orcs quite heavily. And he's got 3 Ologhais over here. One of them was trying to take down the Hall of Fire. He is indeed continuing to take it down, but Gilder is highly leveled right now, and he summons 2 battalions of these, Noldorian exiles, and it's not going to be easy over here. And yeah, so let's see. Rivendell has lots and lots of troops here. I don't think, like 4 Ologhais. Okay, I mean, I think that's overkill. I think you would want to mix in, Rune archers, and Witch King needs to be careful here because these are not basic pikemen. These are Makari, I think. Ehtiari, rather, they're called. Witch King is low. Witch King, oh my lord. He loses Witch King over there, but he does have the tier 3 summon. And Does Rivendell have any archers on this side of the map? No, but losing Witch King to just I think he noticed them. I think he just thought that he like Witch King wouldn't die to these guys with the, the nullifier and everything. But yeah, as you can see, the tech trolls aren't as effective at this point of the game already. Like the heroes, leveled up heroes especially, are dealing with them quite effectively. And W has the Noldoran elves out on the field. He's got the armor. Hasn't got Tengwar inscribed blades yet. But this, like, once Rivendell reaches this stage of the game, it's super hard to deal with. It's incredibly hard to deal with it, especially since Andy lost his Witch King, and Witch King can deal with them. If you like dismount the Witch King, and especially because it was leveled up, I believe it was like level 5 or 6 over there, and he was buffed by Nazguls and all that stuff. He can deal with an Eldoran Elves even by himself, but only if you dismount him and let him be effective that way. Because if you don't like, if you use him mounted all the time, that's exactly what will happen to him. Like you can't be perfect with your control at all times. Eventually you're gonna make a mistake, and he did make a mistake there and paid for it. But yeah, right now, so Noldoran elves are out on the field, and more are coming, swords as well as pikes. He needs to give them armor immediately, and that's exactly what he does. He also upgrades flags on them, and once he has the resources, I would also invest in Tengwar inscribed blades, and the Rivendell player W cleans up this barricade over here, needs to recapture this, although Andy wasn't even building the Uruk Axeman over there. But yeah, so this is scary. This is bad for Mordor. Mordor still has the tools to deal with it, don't get me wrong. He's got Easterling archers, he can go for the Golden Axeman, he can go for drummer troll support, he can get his heroes out. Like this, it's not like Mordor can't deal with it. It can. But Andy is continuing with the spam. It's probably like 35th or 40th minute of the game. I'm not exactly sure, but Andy is continuing to spam basic orcs. I don't believe this is effective. I feel like this can be effective somewhat until a certain point in the game. And he uses Shelob once again. I'm not sure where. Over here, he's trying to take down level 10 Eladan, and he's probably going to be successful. Eladan is really, really low over here, and he's also poisoned. And probably the spiderlings will finish, but that's not really a big loss. So we've got Drokentari here harassing. We've got quite a substantial, 3 battalions of Noldor elves over here. And as you can see, they don't really, well, these ones dies. These one die, but that's because they didn't have heavy armor. The ones with heavy armor don't really care about your Nazgul tramples anymore. And so yeah, we've also got the Queen Guard, the Archer Noldorin. But yeah, let's see what Andy does. I feel like if he stays on the orc spam, that's gonna be tough for him. I don't think the orcs are enough to deal with all of this that's happening on the field. Rivendell has quite a substantial amount of CP on the field right now. Let's see what Mordor got. Mordor is low on eco. Like Mordor was losing its starting farms over here by multiple things. Rivendell used the many meetings summon. Rivendell was harassing with heroes. Little small mobile squads of a couple of battalions of infantries mixed in with heroes, which can be super effective as Rivendell. And like this is what I'm talking about. He's attacking over here. He's harassing with his cav. He's fighting over here. And Andy is doing the same. Andy is like fighting on like 5 different places at the same time, and yeah, like even if you have like 10 battalions of these basic orcs, they'll do nothing to these Makari with heavy armor supported by these Ehtiari. And yeah, my many meetings summon once again, and if he gets this slave farm, which is level 3, that's gonna be big. That's gonna be big for him. And Mordor is starting to have issues with cash, although they've got 3k in the bank, but like ideally, they would want Witch King back on the field, as well as elite infantry on the field. And he does get the tier 3, not tier 3, level 3 farm over here. And Mordor is down to 700. On the other hand, Rivendell has 950 and 800 on the field. This is starting to look bad for Andy, even though W did not go for my preferred unit in this matchup, which is the Grey Company. He's played this so well, and he's got like a pretty substantial, harass group over here, or just an army grouping over there. He's got like one group over here, another in the middle, another on the top side, as well as one harassing over here. So that's the type of control and macro play. And will Mouth of Sauron die here? Yes. Oof. And Halbrand is level 7. So yeah, that's the type of macro play that will win you games. Like that's like that's the stuff you want to see really. But yeah, this is looking really bad for Andy. He needs to also like revive Mouth of Sauron on top of Witch King. But now the entire map is infested with Noldor elves with heavy armor. Although he isn't giving them Tengwar inscribed blades right now, and I believe he also hasn't researched practical application of Feanorian smithing, which would give him a 20% discount on upgrades. And I feel like that's also a quite important component if you're going for Noldorian gameplay with upgrades. You definitely want to get that upgrade, as well as if you're putting down new production new resource structures, try to have them as forges instead of orchards. And at this point, I would also have the, Sleepless Malice upgrade just to make harassment for Mordor at this point that much more difficult. And another level 3 furnace over, slave farm over here is about to go down. This is going to be another huge hit for Andy. But he does use Eye of Sauron. All these battalions are going to be dead. Rivendell uses his heal, but I don't believe it's going to be enough because the Eye of Sauron also stuns, so these units can't move. But Rivendell is at 30 power points, which means he has access to his second tier 4, and that might finish the game, I would say. Like, Mordor has one Nazgul on the field, as well as basic orcs. That's it. And Rivendell, despite the Eye of Sauron, still manages to have 500 CP on the field. Is he building new battalions? Not yet, but he has 3 over here, and he's probably going to upgrade them with at least armor. Has he researched the blades yet? Yes, he has already researched the blades. So let's see. Okay, so he does. Is he trying to combine them? I wonder. Like he does get a Come Merry Doll. And like if you use both of them on the fort, and Mordor, Andy hasn't even upgraded his fort, so yeah, I mean the combination of these two supported. Like if he attacks with this grouping and uses both of these at the same time, Andy can do literally anything to save his fort. But yeah, I mean the transition to Noldor, you saw just how incredibly effective that was, how powerful this strategy is for late game Rivendell. This is the exact type of late game Rivendell you want to see. Even though he hasn't got Elrond, he didn't really have money to both go, Noldor with upgrades as well as revive Elrond. I don't think he even has Strider on the field after losing him. But even without the heroes, just with this infantry with upgrades, like that can be devastating for the opponent. To be fair, let me put it this way. I wouldn't say that Andy played this badly. I think his spam was effective to a point. But Andy definitely did make the mistake here, which I was making in my early days in Age of the Ring, which is refusing to tech up. And yeah, I've written about this somewhere, and I've talked about this with some of my friends in this mod as well, and that like this is a symptom of 202 players a lot. Like when they switch from 202 to Age of the Ring, a lot of them, including myself, when I made the switch, like the refusal to tech up, the refusal to go for higher tier units. Because Age of the Ring has this system where a lot of factions have 3 tiers of units, and in 202 it's usually just 2. So you can really like make the mistake of staying on these lower tier units for way too long, and I think that's exactly what Andy did here. Although he tried to go Ologs, he tried to spam heroes, but what really needed would be the Morgul Morgul upgrade on the fortress to have that Gothmog support, as well as these Legions of Morgul, as well as the Easterling units. Easterling archers are still very good even after nerfs, and the Golden Axemen are, as I said in the beginning of this cast, I feel like they're very underappreciated, but extremely powerful units. So yeah, Andy is trying to harass over here, does get a builder, but yeah, this level 10 Nazgul is trying to fight the Rokentari, and I'm not sure if he's going to be successful. Well, I mean, with the support of the other mounted heroes, he might. But yeah, like even at this point of the map, we've got action all over the place. Okay, so he does use Wrath of the Bruinen, and that's exactly what he does. He combines these two abilities. He didn't really even need to use the Tom Bombadil summon over here because he could finish the fortress just with these three heroes as well as the Noldor infantry. But just to be safe, he uses Come Merry Doll over here, and I believe this is going to be the ending of the game, even though Andy has dropped Rivendell CP a little, max CP is what I'm talking about, but he himself doesn't really have much in terms of army or CP or anything on the map. So yeah, I feel like that was a great game. That was really good on both sides until the mid game, I would say. But Andy made the critical mistake, so not taking up, not getting the upgrades that Mordor needs to have a comfortable transition into its late game. He continued spamming orcs into like very, very super late game, which can be fine in certain contexts, but only if mixed with your higher tier units, infantry, and such. So yeah, really good Rivendell there on W's part as well. He didn't use Great Company, although that would be my number one recommendation. But he somehow made it work, and I feel like the having so many Dunedain Outriders helped him a ton. And his spellbook acquisitions here were like made a lot of sense as well. Diverting and going for other tier twos, mixing in the twins. Sons of Elrond, it was the term I was looking for. But yeah, I don't want to ramble on too much over here. I think I mentioned all the main points from both factions' perspective over here. So yeah, thanks to both players for this great game. It was indeed a great game. I had it was a lot of pleasure watching so many engagements on so many flanks. And yeah, I'll end this one here and see you all in the next one.